VIEGO might be the best all-round jungler in the game, but in this one we're going to have a look to see what we can do against Lilia, which of course we have covered as being astronomically strong herself. Now, we are late to start on the blue because we're worried a little bit about this late invade shenanigans, while our bot lane have a lovely T in the bottom lane. It's always a bit irritating when that happens, but nonetheless, we will start in the blue this time. And this is an interesting philosophy, as the Lilia also goes for the wolf start. The whole concept around my get level 6 quickly, get your level 6 fast as VIEGO, and use that on a grub fight to dominate, that's great. But if you start Raptors and you path down and you go here and then you stay out, you go back to base, you come down again, you're on the wrong side. And you don't really want to be stuck. Do I do a Dragon or not? That's not very good. Whereas a grub fight, when you have 6 and they don't, that's something you can really play around. Now, we have here the Syndra versus Aurelia in the mid lane. And I like what the Lilia is doing in terms of the wolf start, although I would prefer to see more wolf starts on the red side of the map. Because if you go Wolves, Gromp blue, right, then you go Raptors, Krugs red, you do this, you stay out, you go Wolves, Gromp again, base, now you're on the top side for the grubs, right? So it's better than a Raptor start in that sense. However, it doesn't really matter here. We can mislead a little bit, say, haha, I'm starting in the Wolves going down, which at this point, we don't always know when you're going leashless. Lily has the advantage of knowing that because of the bottom lane invade, but the cow goes deep. And, the cow doesn't go deep. Blitzcrank goes deep into the cow. The cow comes out victorious. VIEGO's just going to finish its full clear here. The Lilia can rotate over here because they're about to tank a whole bunch of minion damage. And there we go, all in, but the minions really do cook you hard at this particular stage. Now, if you are the Lilia, you obviously will witness this and decide, is it worth the rotation, 80% probability, or not? Draven takes care of business himself. VIEGO's just F-King and going, unbelievable, classic. We have Cassante 4,000 years on the top side versus Camille, and we'll just go ahead for the RNG Scuttle Crab. She will do a full clear and go for the next RNG Scuttle Crab. I mean, that's just standard jungling at this particular stage. Now, staying out because you started Wolves, Gromp, Blue, and then did this whole full sequence is great because you absolutely must head to Virkayu.gg. Not only do I have a free jungle improvement resource, I also have a dedicated program with jungle video courses, jungle coaching classes, a jungle VOD library, special weekly content you'll see nowhere else, as well as all of this hosted in a private jungle Discord. And if there is one thing I'm good at, it's making junglers go from low elo to high elo, as seen by the great number of success stories from the end of last season and already the beginning of season 14. So to climb faster than everybody you know and to jungle diff every game you play, head to Virkayu.gg or click the link in the description below. You can just simply shadow across here and then go to the respawn at around 4 minutes. You could always potentially flirt with a small contest here. Take this, reset, go topside. Because we started on the blue though, it's until 4:20 that we're gonna see that Gromp, and now we're showing going across. I think this is a little bit gun-ho from the VIEGO. I'm not sure why we would literally full commit to this level. And that's always the downside of doing a buff start when you don't have lanes to actually gank. VIEGO's now shadowing this. As the cow will be back on his way, VIEGO now decides to rotate down here. You don't really want to stay out to the second Gromp 420 unless the map gives you that opportunity. And I think here you can see there's a bit of that uncertainty, and there's nothing wrong with going back and getting a longsword or two, a couple of daggers, depending on whatever champion you're playing. So if you full clear Scuttle, and there's truly nothing else you can do, I love the idea of simply getting deep vision, all right, and then going ahead and going back to base. Now, we are going to stay out here, probably do Wolves and base for topside resequence and grubs. You could stay all the way out, though, if you had no map pressure and you just had to give up the grubs, but let's see what happens. The main thing for me is, rather than scuttle and go across for the double scuttle, if you get this for free and Lilia doesn't show up, you can assume, okay, she's probably on the other side. So I would like to see 2 wards here to actually track that. At this stage, if you're going to fall back to your Gromp, please, this is just a typical thing. If you're going to do what VIEGO did, go back into your jungle, hit the plant, clear any vision. So if you do want to repeat gank like this, you're not going to be detected. It's just a little bit of vision discipline. Regardless, Aurelia is rotating over. We haven't yet based. Aurelia has Colin Doran's Blade, and of course Draven already has a Serrated Dirk. And VIEGO's going to do a lot of damage there, but hey, you guys know me, I'm not a huge fan of wasting this much time looking for this stuff. Now, Lilia knows that VIEGO's going to go back to his Wolves most likely, and has not gone back to base, which means if he stays out for those respawn raptors, she can actually fist him and fight him. She has no mid pressure though, so she decides the 530 wave is gonna give Syndra level 6. Let me go ahead and burn her, summon a spell, force her back a little bit, and then I can apply some pressure to the raptor camp. Now, VIEGO is doing as we said, right? He's finishing off the wolves, he's gonna see this. However, instead of basing, he says, well, now we've got a bit of prio, maybe we can contest this. And that's where the Lilia needs to be a little bit cautious. She gets it. Because, right, even if you have that atomization advantage, the VIEGO and the Syndra combined with your Aurelia going back to base, right, you don't win the 2v1. So, off she goes back to her bottom side, steals the Raptor camp. Syndra will ding level 6. Aurelia is forced to base before level 6. See, Lilia could have seen that gank a bit more. You know, maybe you want to shove it out a little bit more and get 6 for Aurelia, but she wanted the Raptors, and I get it in most of your games, you want the Raptors. Now, VIEGO goes to the bottom side here with 37 CS. RNG Scuttle has bought Prio, and the Lilia is going to carry on sequencing down for her Grubs, whatever. And now Camille goes and wards this. I don't think she needs to ward this just yet, but VIEGO is shadowing the scenario, and this is where things get really interesting. Because we know that the Lilia is going to finish that sequencing down. So what you might have been thinking at that stage was, hey, why doesn't the VIEGO stay out on the Raptor camp at the top side? So we watch this fight develop. Do we have a Swoop to dupe? Do we have an E? No, we already used it. And now we've lost the Dia form. So what VIEGO could have done is stayed out here before resetting, but he knew, all right, Lilia is going to be pathing all the way down. I might as well just base and match her because I have an RNG Scuttle that I can try and snack away, and I can, if she goes for the gank, have the fresher itemization and go for a nice little juice. Now, this pathway here, again, you know, it's known. Like, you can see the Lilia shadowing with level 6. It is known. VIEGO's nowhere near level 6 because he didn't sequence properly. Gonna go for the stun there and try and snack up a kill. Drowsy gets committed, and we're not quite able to get the heal. Beautiful counter gank by the Lilia. In my opinion, if you jungle more like this Lilia, you will win 100% more games in a non-high elo setting. Because a lot of high elo junglers actually end up outthinking themselves, and in this situation, I'm surprised to see a lack of tracking finesse here. Like, we know that these are gone. We know that Grubs are going to be the next thing. We know that we've got these two camps here for level 6, and we don't really want to force a fight when she can rotate over with her Sleepy Powder. And that's the problem. So this is also a great example of, look, what should we not do on VIEGO? However, if there were a champion in League of Legends that can have a rough start like this and be 1,000 gold behind the enemy jungler, but still be able to come back, it would be VIEGO. So how do you recover from a bad start as VIEGO? And why is he the absolute best jungler to recover from bad starts? I made a video on this back in 2017 on the main channel. Oh, actually, I see it now. Never mind, I see it now. I'm the idiot there. So, good attempt, got the flash, juicy. Now, the problem is, everybody knows we're here. You see, is the Lilia coming? Did she go to my side? Like, we don't know, right? You see the ping. I don't know, is VIEGO, did she go to my side or is she coming back down? That's the unknown here because she took the Grubs, and that's all I really have registered at this stage. So we go for the Raptors because they're a nice high-level camp as well. Sequence is down, there we go, leaves a ward. If you feel strong enough to win that 1v1, go for it. If you see a gank, go for that one. Let's see. Here we go. Channeling that W, does hit it, is able to activate the E, then maximum E range. We do have a flash R available as well. We'll get to slow there. Beautiful Q flash. We're unlucky to get that one. Obviously, Blitzcrank and Draven have prior, and they will rotate over. So that aside, that was fun to watch. But I wouldn't want you guys to go for that again unless you know you're going to win it categorically. It was a little close, but hey, it is what it is. Right, 0-3. Anyway, as I was saying, in 2017, I made a video about this. How do you recover from a bad start? And it was one of my games. It was one of the most unfortunate games of my entire life. I still remember it. Dying level 1, and then having to go topside here, dying level 1 again. But I was able to recover. That was with a Rengar. 2017 Rengar was... And it was after he was given back his Q. So it was a solid outing, right? A solid game to showcase, look, why is Rengar one of the best? When you have a shitty start, how do you come back and dominate? And VIEGO is really the poster boy for that now. You might be thinking, but it's resets. Yes, it's resets, but it's also not resets, right? It's also itemization, spike, and pressure. Now, we'll summarize this and when it gets a little bit quieter. There goes the Camille, dodging the sleepy. There's the sleepy anyway. So, rotating, you know, this is the thing. Look at this. Can I rotate and save the day? If you think categorically you can rotate here and save the day, at this particular stage, you might think, yeah, I can. Fine. But as soon as it's very clear that you cannot, just leave, just go Krug. Secure your own jungle, umbrella jungling, which means control whatever you can here. Keep your camps away from the enemy jungler as much as possible and scale yourself up nicely. Now, it's 1,100 gold lead. We want 6,000 gold by 40 minutes to really have a good early game exit. That's just basically like making a company and exiting. You're not going to exit at 100,000. You want to get well into 6, 7 figures. 6 figures, 7 figures, 7, 8 figures. And here you've got the Lilia, 75 CS to 65. And that's the interesting thing. You might think, right, Virkayu, but for VIEGO, this guy's pathing was not good. His rotation, 80% probability was not good. He didn't focus on, you know, tracking properly the Lilia and, you know, how do we recover? And how is he only down, you know, like 10 CS? Well, first and foremost, he had to go back to base and she's going to carry on sequencing here. Nice drag. So that's going to slingshot to 20, which it does. Thirdly, all right, I've been coaching a lot of VIEGO mains, all MMRs basically, all the way from Mercer to Gold at this particular stage. Though we try to not do it too much, but we've done that as well. And as we watch a fight here, we'll get back into it. There's the VIEGO going for the Cassante, who was out of position because of his TP rotation. Now we can become the 200 years, and this is it. You see, that's the 200 years experience. Whoa, beautiful max range E from the Aurelia. Hook over the wall onto the cow, now with the Lilia as well. All of a sudden, that gold lead is closed by 500. Oh. Like, right. So, same kind of logic as earlier. Hey, I'm not going to finish this. I know Lilia is going down. Let me try and counter gank it. Good logic. That was great. The follow-up in ganks and so on, that was not good, right? We needed to get 6. Boom, boom. 6, base, grubs, fight, 6 apiece, snowball the game. Didn't do that, died, unlucky. Now we know the Lilia is pathing all the way down here again. We could spend time doing these camps, but we don't. We see the dive by bottom lane. We see the TP by the Cassante. We know Draven isn't in the picture. Guy's actually going top lane at this particular stage. Might assume he's rotating, but he isn't. Here's the Aurelia. Lilia is going to show up, and again, we just force the fight as quickly as possible to kill the person who's out of position. If you have 4 and they have 1, kill them quickly before the rotation happens, right? Full commit, full send. Because we do that, VIEGO needs to be very, very quick about his resets, picking up the soul and using his ult, and then becoming the next champion fluidly. That's where good VIEGOs are great. They understand this, and they're just quick about it, right? It's like at least form swapping, Nidalee form swapping. You do this really quickly. This is a huge swing. 225 now. Gold lead is only 400 for the Lilia. Don't stand for the dragon, agreed for that. Axe comes through, but he is not a Viking. Now we can go back to base, right? We have the Kraken Slayer. That's still what we want. Kraken, Sundered Sky, Kraken, Trinity Force. Sundered Sky against more HP bruiser targets with a lot of CC, and Trinity Force if you need to stick against highly mobile, squishier targets. That's basically a nice formula to go with. Lilia is on the grubs. Could contest it. We have Prior from the Camille. She's on that at this particular stage. We just choose to say, you know what, let's just go for the fight, which, you know, I understand, because like, if you split your focus here, you're not going to succeed. It's better just to give the grubs while she's distracted, win the numbers advantage, and then because you kill one, again, you kill another and you kill another. And that's where VIEGO is strong. The big thing about him, this game, even though it wasn't the best early game and we needed to recover from that bad start, and I think the most important thing here that you can take from this is, even if you lay a bit of an egg, tracking, pathing, spiking, enemy jungler reads you like a book, you just miss things, keep your head in the game. Get your item spike, know what your item spikes do, and then remember that certain champions will be able to easily get back in the game through farm, but against the Karthus, against the Lilia, you're not going to be able to. So it's best to track where they're going to be and cut them off, exactly like we did twice here. Both good moments, we're doing that. And now, once you get a few kills and a few shutdowns, 5.6 to 5.5, we can go back into our jungle, steal this shit, go back into our jungle, and now sequence a lot quicker and rotate a lot quicker. Gold amount of 14 minutes, 5.970, so basically 6k on the Lilia, Level 9, though, not yet level 10, that's behind the cadence. Likewise, the VIEGO. So all of the fighting and the skirmishing has compromised Lilia's lead because she should have kept doing that without the deaths, and she would be halfway to level 10, level 11 already. Now she goes into the jungle. Nice flash W there onto the That was fluid. That was fluid. You know a good Viego when he knows how to flash W and then fully follow up with everything else. And we're going to talk about an item that has something to do with this, with the passive and the max damage. He's going to go third. I'm not a fan of going Titanic third. He will do it. I prefer you guys to think about the Wit's End, Steric's Gauge, those kinds of things. But when you've got Kraken and Sundered Sky, it can make a lot of sense when you are starting to take over games. Procs twice in your passive, you've got an auto-cancel reset. Nice, right? And you've got that extra HP plus the AD that you get forward from that versus Steric's where you're done. Now, Syndrate Scout of the Week onto the ADC forces a flash. So as I was saying, coaching a lot of Viegos. Some of them have the mechanics to play like this, a bit more aggressively, be behind and still come out ahead into the mid-game. But some of them need to farm a bit more. And that's where I teach them, okay, look, maybe it's time to focus a lot more on your sequencing. Woo-hoo-hoo. A lot more on your sequencing. That was very nice by everybody involved. And get that 9 TS per minute. Because if you're against comps where it's really difficult to fight, and you don't want to fight, you still want to be power. You still want to be gold rich, experience rich. And that's where just sequencing, counter jungling, split pushing, hitting turrets, and falling back is a great example. That's where you're going to have Kraken, Triforce, Wit's End really do a lot of stuff. Sure, you can go Blade, but I'm not really a big fan of the Blade tag. I prefer the more default stuff. I know it's boring, but it works better. I coach more Viego than anything else. It just works better for what we want to accomplish as a champion. And the Titanic is a lateral step to that, a preference, a different ideology, but it's still, I can see it, right? We see eye to eye. The Blade, though, even on Warwick's at the moment, I'm like, you know, half the time people are picking it and they never get to use it because they either get massively kited or massively CC'd killed because they're squishy. It's like, great, you got to slow on the item and the lifesteal. It's useful while you're dead. So you got to think about it that way, right? Now, Viego's 528 here, 7.2k gold. Takes out Quadrant again. Quadrant sequencing has not been that great, but now it's absolutely fine to go for this. Why was that? That was a beautiful W. And it's great because we know that the Syndra used E on Draven and he burned his flash earlier. F key, pay attention. Huge. There we go, missing HP on the ultimate. Red buff will kill that one. Hook onto the Cassante. Knock up for the slows there, guaranteed. Whoops, that was a slice and dice by the Cassante. Ziri gets to do things. You know, don't feel bad about Ziri's for dying to Cassante. Don't feel bad about it. Likewise, don't feel bad about Cassante's getting abused by Ziri. They deserve each other's pain, I think, at this stage. Anyway, Camille goes back to the top side. What a big gold swing. Now we're 6k gold ahead. And honestly, you know, if you look at it, the timeline is that bottom lane play. Cassante TPs to that scenario. Instead of doing his camps and saying, look, I'm going to match the Lilia with sequencing, he says, she's sequencing down, we're behind the tempo here, I need to just cut through, I got a good spike with Kraken, I need to go and make this play. I'm as strong as I'm going to be in this moment, and if we have numbers advantage, you got to use it, and that's how you come back from these bad starts. You look for that small window, that pressure point. 8 to 8, and now you play around the map. We control the objective, we see a Relic splitting on the bottom lane, and I also kind of want to show you here the damage, right, with 1700 damage, you can't see it, 1700 damage on the Kraken Slayer, right? I want to show you what you can do without overthinking your atomization. I like this a lot. Catching these waves a lot. You see your team out of position here. Camille has no TP. We don't necessarily want to rotate to that fight if they're totally lost. There's no objective, whatever, to die for. So if you see the Lilia in your jungle, by all means, you know, push her out and fight her. Yes, yes, yes. Rotate over. No camps for us to do. But do not stagnate. Do not stagnate and do not take a fight that causes your death here for reasons that make no sense. I like this. A lot of people ask me, even as Viego, how do I stop A-ramming with my team? Just don't. Don't. You can easily, like if Camille doesn't come down, you can split push this. If she shows up, the Lilia, you kill her. You have to be able to kill almost anybody as a Viego-style champion at this stage of the game. Goes back to his top side, does the red, sees his team pushing in here a little bit. Says, all right, let me quickly hop the wall and take the scuttle. We got deep vision. I see a camp available. My Syndra's pushing here. All right, let me shadow this. Don't go to Krugs. Shadow this event, right? Camille now shoves in, forces a rotation from Aurelia, now cuts in as well. We see the Lilia down bottom side, so we take blue into the Grump. And because we see two bottom side, we are going to go ahead and activate the Herald on the top side. Ooh, that was a neat little trick. Bus riding! Kevin Durant knows all about bus riding. And we go ahead and smack the turret. No grubs. No worries. Cassante gets disengaged upon. Second charge here goes through. Draven's mid lane. Camille is dead from the 2v1, so obviously you got to pay attention to the fact that, well, you know, Lily is dead. You just have to pay attention to the fact that people might be resetting and collapsing in upon you when they're not dead. But I like this the most. So if Lilia lived and she lived and they both disengage off the map, you don't see them, be very wary about going too deep in this environment. But because Lilia is dead, having a fat chat to the camera, the Aurelia keeps pushing. All right, we still have 4v3. They overcommit here. You can have a nice lateral cut, say, hello, activate your E there. That Q was such a long-range Q. Hits his W. We become the Blitzcrank. Cassante. Doesn't really matter because you can RQ and the boy dead. Dash over the wall to the Zeri, who thankfully positions thusly. Scan on your exit. Ult over the wall here. We know we are seen. Lilia respawns. Draven's still on base. No stress. Fluid decision making. Now all of a sudden we're 128 CS, we're up 7 against the Lilia. So all I can really suggest to you as VIEGO players, do not coin flip as much. Have your tracking be pristine. You can sequence absolutely fine. You're not going to match the Lilia sequence, but you can still do the first rotation and second rotation without compromising too much. As long as you understand when to gank, when to counter gank, like this guy did, you're going to be in a great, great, great position. Obviously, there is risk here that they just go and try and yeet a Baron while we do this. That is something you have to think about. At this stage, you've got here 1600 in pocket. We're going to go back to base. Lilia shows top lane. That's something you could do. On blue team, depends on your comp though, like a Bel'Veth, Mundo, you know, I do it on Zyra, like you've got a lot of champs that can duo the Baron still. We go back to base, we have Sundered Sky plus another Tunneler. Camille splitting. So now you might be thinking, okay, what's the macro plan? I'm going to pause you. You got 4 people here, we're giga strong at this point, 10,000 gold, Zeri's 10.7, nobody else is close. Camille 9.5. So you have a 4v4 here, cool. Camille's down here, right? Aurelia could be chasing here, cutting through here, following up. If you have a situation where you don't think you can win the fight, and I coached a VIEGO like this the other day. He had an Aurelian Soul, it was a Shen, we had a Sona, it was a Kai'Sa, and then a Mumu jungle. Do you want to fight that in the mid lane here as a VIEGO? Probably, as most junglers, you probably don't. So what we decided to do is I said, look, just let your team back off, tell them you're not going to group, and go split here. 1-3-1, right? 1-3-1. When you have a really giga team fight against you, and you don't match that at all, use your 1-3-1. Force rotations if you're strong enough, so that you actually have a 3v3 here or something like this. So we would push this up. Sometimes our team died and they got a turret, but then they had to retract to deal with us here. The Camille was here, so they had to deal with her as well. And that you just kind of play off of that pressure the whole time. And eventually, when they send 2 and 1, that's when you can cut in with VIEGO, nice quick E-rotation, and you win the fight. So you've got 2 decisions to make there. Do I team fight in this scenario, right? And I think here, obviously, that's the play. That's what I'm getting at here. Whoa, that did not hit at all, but that was beautiful. What a lovely hook. He sees the low HP Alistar being chunked and just pulls the trigger on the engage. It's perfect. It's perfect. That's exactly what you do. And I think all VIEGO players, you got the split push opportunity for 9 CS per minute and lower damage. And then you just nuke everybody, right? So you have items and experience. Great. But more often than not, we want to do this. We want this environment here. So did you see how he used his E to just prowl around the fight, look for potential angles? He didn't just rush in and all in and die. He waited, he waited, he waited. He allowed his mage and his ADC to do chunking damage to a target. And when they were low enough, then he could full commit, whether you want to use your flash R, whether you just need the R or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Get in there, get the kill, get the reset, get the numbers advantage, and then obviously chain it together. Now, here again, same thing. We're watching, we're observing, we're just watching and observing. Can we go in here or can we not? And now you look at it, you're like, maybe not. Maybe we can. Ooh, that W actually misses there, but that was a lot of damage from everybody involved. But, you know, we'll take it. Cassante takes us on a journey. We'll say, well, are you sure you want to take us on a journey, Cassante? Because we happen to be Aurelia at this stage. That's exactly how you play. Even with Sundered Sky there, did you see how he was just patient? Absolute patient. That's another one. Whoop. Missing HP, homies, missing HP. Beautiful. Exquisite team fight, VIEGO play. exquisite use of ultimates, exquisite use of everything. It's lovely. Really, really great. Most Viegos I know, the problem is they stick in this fight, they try to get resets too soon. They go in here too soon, they just get CC'd and killed. Or they can't team fight at all, and then they just don't split. They just kind of waffle around. Really great example of how to recover from a bad start, intelligent jungling, even if the bad start is because of not so intelligent jungling. We all have those games, right? We all have those games. Well, not it's a little harsh, but you know what I mean. Like, it just wasn't a good early game. The rhythm was off. Tempo was off. Overstayed moments. Gave up 6 grubs. You know, counter jungling didn't occur. We died to a level 6 cut in by the Lilia because we were very predictable with what we were doing. You know, it happens. Lilia did a good job. End of story. Now, we have no wave here. Syndra's on the bottom side. Obviously, she does have TP available. They're going to try and chase down the Camille and kill her. Your job here is to shadow this. Zeri goes over the wall. Everybody says, hello, Aurelia. Now, of course, we can prime our W, which, of course, we will do. There we go. Orders and Qs fly through. No reason to use our R or do absolutely anything at this particular stage because everybody's winning. Become the Draven too. Fantastic. What a quick turnaround, and that's where Viego is amazing. Because if you have a supreme early game and you get level 6 first, you can run over it. If you're a little bit behind but within touching distance and still making good plays, you can easily recover from that bad start. And we've all seen Viegos have horrific games, and we all throw in one team fight. So that right here, it doesn't give us the actual damage. Really wasn't a big thing in the game, was it, the Titanic Hydra? He did have a BF sword. Obviously, you can swing that into a GA. I would prefer here to see more typical items, just for most of you. But this is obviously something that can work here. Again, proxy passive twice, you've seen that. Have the active auto attack reset. No real downside when it goes third. Just keep in mind, these 2 items are your best default ones. And obviously, you can swap into the Trinity Force as necessary. Viego, Giga Champion.